Each episode of Education with an Edge is meant to create, cultivate, and inspire honest discussion about issues affecting youth. Hosted by author, artist, educator, advocate, and speaker, Jaquel Lane.
Hello and welcome. My name is Jaquel Lane, and I am hostess of Education with an Edge, the podcast dedicated to youth and all things children, because I believe that every child matters, and you should too. I am so very honored and excited. I have a very good friend on here today, Moni Sullivan. She is a busy wife and mother with a passion for mental health. After high school, Moni attended college, but soon chose having a career over pursuing a degree. In 2004, Moni had her first child and became a stay-at-home mom. She always had a dream of becoming a mental health therapist, but thought that she was too old to go back and finish what started over a decade ago. When her youngest started kindergarten, Moni made the decision to go back to school. A year before she was set to graduate, Moni embarked on a journey that would forever change the trajectory of not only her own life, but the lives of her family and others who have heard her story. Moni was suffering from severe depression and considered dropping out of school. In January of 2018, Moni decided to reclaim her life and started taking care of her health. In the past 3 years, Moni has lost over 118 pounds. When people see me, she says, they focus on the physical changes. While the physical changes are awesome, what this journey has done for my mental health often brings me to tears. Making this investment in myself has saved my life, allowing me to be a better version of myself. Moni graduated from the University of Nebraska-Omaha with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology in 2019, proving that it's never too late and you're never too old to chase your dreams. While she had visions of becoming a mental health therapist, Moni uses her degree and her own journey to help others. I receive several messages from individuals who share their journeys with me, Moni says. We celebrate weight loss, but my favorite things to celebrate are the non-scale victories. To have someone tell me, because of my story, that they started theirs and they finally see their worth, it makes me cry happy tears. This journey I've been on has not always been an easy one. It's been full of a lot of peaks and valleys, but I have never given up. To hear people say my story has inspired them to create their own words, you can't even express how much that means to me. You are beautiful, you are strong, and you are worth it. Moni has recently created Unearth Yourself, which can be found on Facebook and Instagram. She says, I want to create a community to help individuals realize their worth and that they are not alone in the feelings that they are experiencing. I get it. And I am so very honored to have you here. So I'm going to introduce my friend Moni. That's a rock star biography with everything that you've done. But I guess, my first initial meeting of you is just Moni is the most passionate and also just a real individual that I've ever met. And I had the honor of hearing your story, and I was just blown away. So thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And she's like the sweetest thing. She's the sweetest thing. So we're going to get right into it. But, since this is a podcast dedicated to young people, can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up?
So I grew up in an extremely loving and supportive family. However, mom and dad's love and support, I still got bullied. I had dealt with my weight since I was a young child. So even though I received the love and support at home, I kind of closed in and didn't really allow my parents to know what was going on in school. And so that carried with me until 2018. And I know our viewers are super excited to hear all about your story, but that, of course, resonates with me because I know that there's tons of young people that are walking that same path right now. And so to hear that, you have supportive and loving parents, but that you're almost living this double life is heartbreaking because no kid wants to, be that kid that's made fun of or be the kid that's bullied even when they have to come home and, and your mom's like, hey, how was your day at school? And it's always a negative, right? So, that is so very important to address. So thank you for sharing that with us. Did you have a mentor growing up or someone who you admired? I did. My father.
And why was your father such a impactful person in your life?
So my father grew up in a home completely different than the home I grew up in. From a young age, he kind of had to fend for himself. And
talk about peaks and valleys. He experienced it all, yet he did not allow his childhood to affect his future. So you hear that quote, you're responsible for you, and he was. So again, he did not allow that, the negative aspect of his childhood. And I watched that and I admired it. And he wasn't afraid to share his story. And watching my dad do that, I admired the heck out of it. My dad also had a weight problem back then and got made fun of as an adult. So that's what's so important for our youth to know, that it doesn't go away when you're an adult. You just learn to cope with it better.
Right. And I think that you said something that's so important too, is that oftentimes we see such a cyclical thing in families where maybe you have a parent that didn't have a great childhood or maybe the perfect upbringing, and sadly they sometimes can lose their way in being really great parents of themselves. Correct. But it's your father's such an awesome example of somebody that was like, that's what I want to give my children, the best version of me. And, right. And I don't want to repeat that cycle. Right. Correct. So that's beautiful too. I think it's also important to realize that just like the way that we talk about other people or the judgments that we make, whether it's about someone that's overweight or that has an addiction or whatever, we talk a lot about that on the show. And it's so easy to judge. And unfortunately, we don't know the path that they took. We don't know what they're going through. And to look at you now and to even think that, no one would think that. That you ever went through something like that. So, kudos to your father for doing such a good job, raising such a great woman.
Kudos, Dad.
Yeah. So we're really going to get into the heart of just what you wake up for every morning, and really what brought me when I first heard your story. Just honestly moved me to tears, quite frankly. So you are very dedicated to health and fitness and the routine of that. And one thing that we try to encourage young people to do is to have a positive outlet like exercise or sports in which they can participate, because we know that, research has shown that that's so very important. And there's so many strides that need to be made in ensuring that everyone has access to those programs. So can you tell us a little bit about your health and fitness journey and why you're so passionate about encouraging others to be healthy?
So I am extremely passionate about the exercise effect. There is actually a book on it that I have read. Basically, our physical activity impacts the neurobiological mechanisms of the most common disorders such as depression, anxiety, the list goes on and on. Having suffered from depression even as an adult, I couldn't put two and two together what was causing that. I had an amazing family. My children were healthy, but I was still suffering from that, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. However, I was in denial about my weight. And until I started on this journey, when I said before, everybody looks at the physical appearance of someone, but they don't know what's going on in their head. And once I started making changes in my health, the mental side of it collaborated with the physical side, and it blew it right out of the water. So while I appreciate everyone's comments on you look great, congratulations, they have no idea what this has done for my mental health. And so I'm a huge advocate for the exercise effect.
I love that. And I think that that's important too. And unfortunately, and that's like for another show, but right. Recess has been taken away from kids in a lot of aspects. And as being a teacher, I see so many behaviors that I think could be rectified. I know for a fact, and I'll just sit here and say it, when I don't get up and work out in the morning, I don't mean to say worthless. I'm not going to say that, but I'm pretty, right. Everything changes. Like when I have a great routine and I'm getting enough sleep and I'm getting up and I'm exercising, I can start my day and I can give back to others and I can be the best that I can be. And I know you are too.
Right. But
it's hard to articulate that or to teach that to kids if that's not a routine in their households. And for many of them, it's not. And then you add on to it that we're taking away many physical education programs and things like that. or even just recess. And it makes me really sad for that fact, because as you said, I think that exercise, I think there's some times that I've snapped myself out of being super sad by going and working
absolutely.
out. But I didn't learn that until I was older,
right?
So
well, and everyone also thinks that one of the number one things is, even around the globe, gyms were closed down. I had taken myself out of the gym for 45 days, and when COVID hit, and it does not take a gym membership to move your body. A lot of the times you will see me literally walking around my kitchen island. If I want to scroll through Facebook or Instagram, I get up and move my body instead of sitting on the couch and looking. So you don't need a gym membership. If it's cold outside, that's not an excuse either. Just get up and walk around your house and move your body for 20 minutes. Start out small, take baby steps, and pretty soon that 20 minutes turns into an hour. So,
and I love that too, because I think for someone sitting on the other side that maybe they are overweight or even obese in some instances, and we do have some young kids that are, it seems so daunting of a task to be like, well, I'm not going to be able to hit the gym and like run 5 miles, but as you said, starting off with small goals, walking around your house, standing,
right.
Instead of sitting, are all such awesome goals just to have to start small, right, and then have something to build on. So what is the biggest obstacle, Moni, that you have faced in your life, and how did you overcome it?
My whole life, I spent a majority of it looking for acceptance from others, and did everything to make others happy. But yet deep down inside, I was hurting. And I would say that when I started this journey, you are looking for getting back what you had given. And I lost friendships over this. And at the end of the day, I realized that maybe it was a higher power telling me I didn't need that toxic. And while, it hurts, and it was a huge obstacle to accept the fact that, people were walking out of my life, at the end of the day, I was better for it. And, that was the biggest obstacle, accepting that in your mind, you're thinking people aren't accepting your choices, and maybe you're making them unhappy, and trying to juggle all this. And pretty soon you just have to say, no,
right.
I have to focus on me and what makes me happy. And no, and it's hard to walk away, but looking back, it was the best decision I've ever made.
I think that that's so important, because I think that people pleasing can become such an addiction too,
Yes.
And I'm very honest about the fact that and maybe that's why we're so kindred,
right.
But I'm very much so that way. And it's something that I, struggled with too. And I see young kids do that,
right.
and see them lose, pieces in themselves every single day. And truly and honestly, and I don't know if, you would agree with me, but if you can come through life with being true to yourself and without allowing anyone to chip away, at just your goodness, your wholeness, but also acknowledging that you need to have a good enough self-esteem to say, I deserve this. Right. I deserve to set goals. I deserve to have a healthy body. I want to look a certain way. I want to be productive. I want to be successful, X, Y, and Z. And then unfortunately, if not everybody's for you, and we know that sometimes they're not, in life, then you've got to be, as you said, you've got to be willing to let those individuals go.
Correct.
And it's a tough, tough lesson, especially for young people, I think. If there was one piece of advice that you could offer to a young person going through a difficult time right now, what would it be?
Like a storm, moments in life don't last forever. And I wish that I would have embraced that when I can't even say my teenage years, go back even farther, when I was in elementary school. Friends say they don't want to play with you anymore, or you got picked last for Red Rover, was back in my day. And that sparks something that you feel like a failure, and then go into your teenage life and, you know, your boyfriend breaks up with you and you think it's the end of the world. And at the end of the day, I thank those guys. I thank all of the people who took a piece of me, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you now. And I truly believe that. So again, you're going to have bad days. I have bad days. I struggle, but this too shall pass. And I know that sounds so cliche and we all hear it, but I'm living proof that there's sunshine at the end of that dark tunnel. So hang in there.
You are such a light, truly and honestly, for all of us. And so no truer words were ever spoken on that. I mean that. So Miss Moni, what are some of your goals for the upcoming year and why are they important to you?
Well, every year I pick a goal, a big goal to jump right out of my comfort zone. And you know the one that I picked for 2020, really quick. I did participate in Miss/Mrs. Nebraska 2021. That was my goal for this year. I guess I said 2020, but it was 2021. Had never done a pageant before. I am a leggings wearing, Vans wearing girl, and to have to walk in heels and a swimsuit on stage, completely out of my comfort zone. This year, I am also participating in the 50-mile march for veterans. So that's completely out of my comfort zone. Since I am into fitness, I do not like cardio, and that is a lot of cardio, my friends. So the big one for me is I am dedicating less time to social media and more time to reading books that inspire me, that help me grow. And I started that a couple weeks ago, and it's going well. I finished one book, and I'm halfway through another, and it's just opened up a whole new world. I do still look at social media, but again, I think we start comparing ourselves in our lives to to others' lives. And you guys, I still do it. I'm like, oh, look at Mary over there. She's in Cabo right now and it's raining in Omaha, and you start to get depressed. And I had to step back from it because you don't know what's going on in someone else's lives, that they make it look happy and maybe they're not. And so focus on yourself. So I've turned that focus into helping myself by reading, and it's I can't even explain it. It has improved my life. Just when I think it can't get any better, it truly has.
Well, I can say that you were absolutely stunning at the Miss Nebraska and the Mrs. Nebraska pageant. And honestly, just like I said, your realness and your authenticity, and obviously you're so stunning on the outside, but it's really truly your inside that is just remarkable.
And Jaquel, can I touch on something that I did want to point this out, because so many people focus on when they fail.
Yes.
And I just want to say, after the pageant, I had so many people apologize to me that I didn't win. But yet, even my own children were sad I didn't win. But at the end of the day, I did. Listen, I walked into this without an expectation. And when you walk into something without an expectation, it opened up a whole new world. And that's what I'm doing here, right? So in my mind, I won. And I want young kids to realize that even though you think you may have failed because you didn't win, I told my kids that day, if we focus on winning, look what you miss out on if you just focus on the fact that you didn't win. So look at the lessons that are learned, look at the people you meet. And in my mind, I may not have a title or a crown, but it opened up a world to me so at the end of the day, it's not losing. It's so much more than that. So I just wanted to point that out, because a lot of our youth, think that when a door closes in their face that, they're a failure. And that's not true.
I love that. And I'm honestly glad that you did, because one of my favorite mottos is like, when one door closes, another one opens, and sometimes it's a better door, and oftentimes it is,
Right.
And I love how positive you are, and I love the fact that you literally do look for, the pot of gold at each, at the end of each
Absolutely.
rainbow, or the rainbow after every storm, because that's what we need more of, and if we never try, I mean, yeah, we could all, and I have a mentor that tells this to me all the time, if you never want to try at anything, or you never want to, put yourself out there, you're never going to have any problems. You're never going to have any scrutiny. If you seek to be average, then that's what you're going to get. And, and most people are going to be okay with that, because you're not really standing for something or stretching yourself. And so I'm so very proud of you and everything that you're doing. And congratulations on, is it the 50 mile? I want to say it right.
Yeah, I think I'll
be cheering for you.
It's going to be like end up 55 miles. That's
awesome.
Okay. What's another 5 miles,
What's another 5 miles, girl?
All right.
You're good. You got it. And I also I love reading, not just because I'm an English teacher, but also because I'm trying to do that as well. And that's hard. That's hard in this society. It's hard not to measure by followers and likes, and I can't imagine. I watch what it does to my students, and I'm sure that you see what it does to your son. It's like to your son and to and even to your family. That, once again, as you said, it's like you're comparing Susie Q's life with and you don't know. And I always say, even to my students, I'm like, that's people's highlight reel. They're not going to put very, very, very rarely do you see somebody get really authentic. Sometimes I think it's getting better.
Right.
With that, but for a long time, it was just like the highlight reels. And so we need to be really cognizant, and I love that you set a goal of doing that. I might do that goal too. Yes. I might do it with you, girl.
All right.
That's awesome. If you had one motto that you live by, what would it be and why?
Stay humble, hustle hard.
I love that.
So I think we get wrapped up in success, and, success, while you've hustled for it, you also have to stay humble and always remember that. I mean, I might break into Tim McGraw's song, is it something about kind and humble, but again, I always say this to my kids as well, and we have a huge canvas that hangs in our basement that says, stay humble, hustle hard.
I love that. Very, very cool. What I know this question is like, sometimes guests are like, oh my gosh, but I think it's important, and I like to think about it. What do you want your legacy to be, and why?
I want the domino effect with my kids. So I want them to always be kind. I want them to never judge anyone. And I think that if I've instilled that in them, which I'm seeing it, my sons are 17 and almost 14, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. I'm acknowledging it, and it makes my heart smile. But when you start that and the domino effect, it's contagious. Kindness is contagious. And then it will be passed down to my grandkids, their kids. So that's the legacy that I want to leave behind, is to start that domino and have it keep going.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. What is one thing that you are the most proud of, and why?
Well, besides my boys, I'm proud of how far my husband and I have come successfully. Without going, that is a whole different other podcast, but I want to stress to all of you listening that, again, when one door closes and you fall flat on your face, the next door that opens is going to be better, and the one after that is going to be better. And if somebody would have told me 6 years ago that my husband and I would be sitting where we're sitting, I would have doubted it. But we beat the odds, only because when we were knocked down so many times, we got back up and we kept fighting, and we stayed humble, and we hustled hard for it. So
I love that. And I think that that's an important, I hope that I think the goal I mean, and I try to do this with my students, and I know that you do this with your boys, is like resiliency is key, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because nobody said that life was going to be easy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. But it's the people that can keep a positive attitude. It's the people that, as you said, who get knocked down time after time and keep getting back up and have faith that things are going to get better, are the ones that I truly see persevere and have the best kind of life, right? Because it means so much more to those people when you've had to work for it.
Right.
So, congratulations to both of you. Your husband's a sweetheart too.
Oh,
I got to meet him. So.
I like him.
Kind of like that. I kind of like that guy. So exciting. And like, obviously you're such, I can't say enough good things about you, just how open your heart is and the wonderful things that you're doing. I mean, in our community too. So where can our listeners follow you and support you?
So I have created Unearth Yourself. It was just in my heart to kind of do this, to let you know that you're not alone in your struggles. And whether people want to participate on there or not, I will be getting raw with people, meaning I'll kind of be opening up what I've gone through, even my daily struggles now, because it's not sunshine and rainbows, and sharing it and letting you know that you don't walk this path alone. I still have days where the clouds follow me and I pop out of it, and I just want to be there for people no matter where they live. I mean, even if they live in a totally different time zone, to let you know that you can always go there and be lifted up.
I love that.
So Unearth Yourself. It's on Facebook and Instagram.
Wonderful. And we will certainly be supporting you on your 50-mile walk and all of the phenomenal things that you're doing. Seriously, Moni, we're so proud of you, and I'm so honored to have you here on Education with an Edge. So Moni Sullivan, certainly a woman to watch in 2021, and also just a woman who has a true heart for mental health. And that's what we're all about on this podcast, is lifting each other up. And even though, you might go through struggles and things, just knowing that there are people who have gone through really difficult obstacles who have come out stronger and better on the other side. And no one exemplifies that better than you, sweetheart. So thank you. And thank you so much, audience, for being with us here today. And we're going to go ahead and sign off on Education with an Edge. But I am your hostess, Jaquel Lane, and we will be seeing you next time. I want to give a quick shout out to anybody that is suffering right now. If you're a youth and you're going through something, we just encourage you to reach out. We have a great partnership with the Boys Town Suicide Hotline. We will just tell you that we need your light and we need your love in this world, so don't give up. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
If you have a question or just want to learn more, go to jaquellane.com. Thanks for listening to Education with an Edge,
a Huda Media production.